Meantime, in the Bahamas, the death toll is rising as the search for more victims continues, and aid efforts are getting underway. Mike Drolet is in Nassau this morning with more on this. Good morning. So, Mike, describe what the scene is like where you are and also the hardest hit areas.
Well, we're in Nassau, where a lot of the staging grounds are for the relief efforts. But just north of us, there are the two main islands in the Bahamas that were hit. You have to understand, Bahamas is a series of 700 islands. Not all of the Bahamas were hit, so most of the tourist areas, in fact, were left relatively untouched. But the Grand Bahama Island and Abaco Islands were destroyed. The Prime Minister is calling it generational destruction. Getting in and out has proven to be extremely difficult for rescue. And we're finding getting new terrible information about death tolls and about every day.
Yeah, speaking of the death toll, it's risen overnight. Now, what are the fears right now? How high could it go?
Well, they are saying to prepare for the worst. That the health minister said that it could go into possibly even into the thousands. The list of missing is very, very long. You have to understand, this wasn't your normal storm. It was a Category 5, and with winds close to 300 kilometers per hour. But how this hurricane behaved differently was the Abaco Islands and Grand Bahama, and destroyed everything, and then it sat there for 2 days and pummeled them with more wind and rain. There is a story about a man who was in the water on the Abaco Islands. The water was up to his rooftop. He had broken his leg. He was in the water with his 5-year-old son, and he saw fins in the water because the sharks were swimming between the houses. He was able to lift his son onto the roof to put him to safety, and as he was about to pull himself up, the winds blew his son away. His son is not among the death toll because he's just listed as missing. But at this point, what kind of hope does he have? The last thing he heard was his son getting blown away yelling, "Daddy." As that is to hear, there are stories like that we're hearing like every day.
Yeah, incredibly sad. There's no question about that. And you mentioned that Nassau is the staging ground for the relief effort. So a lot of supplies obviously coming in. The big question is what happens next in getting these supplies and everything that is needed to the hardest hit areas. Talk about the challenges surrounding that.
Well, one of the challenges are many. It's like, how long do we have? First, there's bureaucratic red tape. We spoke with a pilot yesterday who has been sitting there for 24 hours waiting to get in. He needs to get the permission to be able to fly into one of the few airstrips that are open. One of the problems with it is that the main international airport on Grand Bahama is still closed because there's too much debris. They can't stage there. They can't land there. There's a plane that's been blown into the terminal, so it's unusable. So the U.S. Coast Guard, the good news is that they've been able to save about 1 people as of last night, but they're doing it via helicopter, and it's slow, difficult, methodical work. But right now, getting access to it is their biggest concern, and they're trying to do it any which way they can.
Yeah, it's an effort that could take months, if not years. All right, Mike Drolet in Nassau, Bahamas. Thank you so much for this, and stay safe. All right, in related news, an Ontario mother of 4 is among the Hurricane Dorian victims in the Bahamas. Alicia Sabrina Lioli's body was found on the Abaco Islands where she worked. Lioli ran a vocational training center for people with intellectual disabilities. Now, a GoFundMe page has been set up to raise money to bring her body back to Canada. The organizer says any extra funds will be donated to help rebuild the school where she worked.